All right, Ty, we're back in the mix here. We're talking houses today on a
Good
live.
morning.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes, this is new for me. This is my first time being invited to a live of this style. So that was a very fun intro. Thanks a lot for having me.
Ty, we're excited to have you on here. I know we meet, occasionally for coffee with very high levels of caffeine, and we always have great catch-ups and talking business and real estate. I thought it was so fitting to have you on as our, short clip live episode guy in real estate. You're putting in, the time, the work to keep people updated in markets. And I thought no better than have you on here and have this discussion with you on a weekly for a bit. So we're excited to have you on and excited to talk a little bit more about the reality of the markets. We always see all these posts, especially folks in real estate, or they're in the hunt for a house, or they're trying to sell their place. What's timing like, and people have these ideas in their head, maybe not even in the market yet, but the anticipation of being there, and what's really going on in the market, because I never remember it kind of not being competitive. I remember house hunting over a decade ago now. It's crazy how time flies. And it was a crazy market in back in that year. It took walking through like 80 or 90 houses and condos and stuff to find the place. So I call home to this day. This is not it, for the record, folks. Yeah, so
You needed a better agent. If you're looking at 80 to 90 houses, they're not listening to your needs and wants. But
yes.
I'm kind of joking, but spring market in Winnipeg is always busy. And I'm finding over the last couple of years that the spring market in Winnipeg is beginning earlier and earlier. Like this year, it felt like January, there was no slowdown with the anticipation of the rates potentially dropping and that buyer
Nice.
demand increasing. We've had such low inventory over the last period of time that there is pent up buyer demand. There are people that are looking for houses. It didn't matter when the rates were 5, 6, 7% on a variable rate. In some cases, there were still people looking for homes, because the goal of pretty much anybody that you would ask in life is to own a home, have that piece of real estate, have that piece of land, have something that is tangible, that is going to grow in value over time through appreciation. And Winnipeg's a great market for exactly that, because Winnipeg, we don't see the peaks and valleys. It's a more
Right.
consistent and steady market. So even though it is, busier here, it is a very consistent market with, looking back to the crazy times of 2021 and early 22, where the rates were incredibly low and people were paying way over the asking price. That was all we heard. Everybody's over the asking price, over the listed price. Things are going crazy. And now the prices are just back above that. Like, I mean, we're using 2021 and it's like, okay, well, that was, we thought it was this little blip in the radar over time, that, hey, this was that, 18-month period with low interest rates. But now we're seeing, even at, around 4% interest rates for fixed rates, that people are still competing for houses. We're still seeing buyer demand. I was showing houses on the weekend, and every showing that I was in, there was a dozen or more business cards littering the tables. A couple showings yesterday, we had groups following right up behind us, which, when you're trying to do your job as a showing agent, you want people to feel relaxed and actually envision themselves living in that home. And it gets very tricky as the competition heats up. The people that are actually looking at the houses feel some of that pressure and feel some of that competition as well. But as we kind of alluded to before we came on live here, that yes, the market is competitive, but contrary to what your local real estate agent is posting on their Instagram about all houses going way over the list price, that's not necessarily true. Anecdotally, I've had a couple of situations where just had an offer accepted this morning that is under the listed price by about $15,000. Last week, we had one that was minimally competitive with only 2 offers on the table, and my group got it for just around $5,000 over the listed price. So, again, not going crazy. We're still seeing the outliers that, everybody loves to post about, telling you that it's the best time to sell the house that's listed for $499 that sells for $611,000. And everyone's like, wow, but they're not all like that. And that's the one thing that I think we really want to stress.
I think that helps, me hearing that, and I'm sure anyone who's like listening, joining us right now, in terms of, yeah, that anxiety about purchasing a home and, all this fear out there. about never being able to buy one, and what's the market at, and what are the price of houses gone up to. And I mean, historically, we're still pretty low as far as interest rates go. The price of houses has gone up quite a bit, perhaps because of those low rates, but it
And
does.
incomes haven't gone up relatively to the house prices increasing either.
Yeah,
Would be another
yeah, it's
thing. But, again, anecdotally here, like even today, I reached out to an agent. There's a house in the sub $300,000 price point. So like $269,000 in a desirable neighborhood. And I spoke to the agent. They had 20 showings over the last 5 or 6 days on market, and they're only expecting a couple of offers today. So again, there's an opportunity for my buyers there to potentially get something, under that $300,000 threshold. Because again, most people, if you've got steady income, you have your down payment saved up and your closing costs, most people will get approved in that sort of $200,000 to $300,000 price point, right? It's the entry level price point, and there are still houses, which is crazy. There are still houses that are livable, that are in good condition for around 300K in Winnipeg. Which, if you told anybody across Canada, and this is the one thing that I like to caution people too. We get sucked into these headlines, right? We read headlines that come out of Toronto, Vancouver, and larger centers where there are more peaks and valleys. Calgary right now has hit a wall. I was talking to an agent friend in Calgary. They've slowed right down now because buyers are a little bit scared, just with some of the pipeline conversation, et cetera, that's been happening in Alberta. So they're very dependent on the market of oil, for example, whereas Toronto and Vancouver, they're just being priced out by potential foreign investment, whatever the case may be, new regulations where maybe you can't have an Airbnb suite to subsidize your mortgage payment every month. But like overall in Winnipeg, this is the most affordable real estate in the country. You're getting value packed houses for like 500K. You can live in a very, very nice home here. And that just simply doesn't exist in some of the bigger centers in Canada. It really doesn't. And I think we never need to lose sight of that, yes, okay, it is incredibly cold for 4 months of the year here. But the nice thing is your mortgage payments aren't $5,000 a month, or your rent payments aren't $3,500 a month for a 1-bedroom downtown Toronto. And you can actually afford to go on a Mayan Riviera vacation on Sunwing for 7 days to escape the cold, at least to break up winter a little bit. But yeah, as far as the market goes, Steve, I was, I wanted to actually pull up some of the trends, because
Yes.
we always like to hear about those outliers that go way over asking, and these are the things that get everybody all fired up and all in a tizzy online saying, oh, what's happening? And some things to take into account first, like, was the house even priced correctly before it went $100,000 over the listed price, or was this extreme event pricing, or was this somebody that was just willing to take a risk? Because remember, you never want to set the price below what you're willing to accept for a home, simply because if you got an unconditional offer at that price, would you sell the home? Right? That's like the number one question that I ask people. Would you sell this house if
Right.
somebody brought you that offer? And if the answer is no, then you don't want to list your house there, right? Because it just gets to be a very uncomfortable conversation when you don't get that magic offer on offers day, and ultimately affecting the listing when you have to raise the price back up the day after offers day. Buyers can smell that desperation as well. So I wanted to pull up from you. Now, I just hit refresh on the latest solds from today. Okay,
Yeah.
so these are the houses that have been marked sold as of 9:50 a.m. on Monday, March 24th, 2025. Now,
Awesome.
I guess the conversation that you and I had briefly had was, are all houses going over the listed price? So I just wanted to share with you some of the list price versus the sold price, and these are just the most recent sales. Like, I didn't cherry pick these. I didn't go through to find all of the homes that had that big spread of list to sale price ratio. These are all in line with what has just happened. This is real time here. So there's a house in White Ridge, 19 Hammersmith Road. It's been on the market for 21 days. The original list price was $509,000. They
Yeah.
then dropped the price to $499,900, and it just was marked sold this morning for $499,000. So just under $500,000 for this
Yeah.
house, 1,500 square feet, built in 1988 with an attached single garage. A really, overall, a very good family home for just under 500K.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So then we see next up here. Of course, this is going to go slow on me. 75 Allswater Way. This is in Bonavista in the southeast corner of Winnipeg. This is a new development. This house has not even been built yet. It's a Qualico home, was initially listed at $549,990, and just was marked sold this morning for $535,000. That is a brand new build in Bonavista on a 36-foot lot, a 1,620 square foot family home with 3-bed and 3-bath. That's like a standard new development, new build,
Right.
detached garage, but selling, for $535K. In South Point, which is a great, desirable neighborhood. This house, again, 1,520 square feet. This is a bungalow, quite a desirable looking house. Looks to be at the end of a laneway or a cove. Okay, so it's 31 Switchgrass Cove. There you have it. Was listed at $689 and just sold after 21 days on market for $665,000. So again, closing under the listed price there. And
Right.
this would be the 5th sold house here that I'll share with you. This one from Old Kildonan, so a different neighborhood altogether. This has an attached garage in the front. It's a 1,200 square foot bungalow, 75 North Mount Cove. Was listed at $499,800 9 days ago, and was just marked sold this morning for $499,900. So that house went $100 over the listed price. Right. So
Wow.
from those are just the most recent 5 sales in Winnipeg. Maybe not a great scope of the entire market, but overall, I'm looking at the next one, number 6 here, and there's a house, 7 Oban Drive in Royalwood, which is a super desirable, super hot neighborhood. This house was listed at $799,900 and sold for $785,000 after 8 days on market. Right, here's another one. These are literally in order here that I'm going through. This one's in East Kildonan, 233 Oakview Avenue, listed at $499,900, sold for $500,000 after 42 days on market. And that's a 1,570 square foot family home, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. Another one, 184 Royal Avenue, Scotia Heights. This was listed at $319,000, just sold for $307,500. So just under the listed price. And it goes on. The next one, South Point, 11 Otter Lake Place, was listed $748,000, sold for $734,500. So, I mean, that's the last 9 sales marked on MLS as of this morning that I'm just scrolling back through and just reading it for you in real time. So if you want like a real capture of what's happening in the market, I mean, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good indicator. And that's, pretty much what I'm seeing too. Now, every neighborhood is going to have its own special characteristics, right, that people want. There's certain desirable houses on desirable streets that are priced just under that threshold so that they're still very, very exciting for buyers thinking that they have an opportunity. Like if a seller's goal is to, attain a certain price, because that's really when I'm sitting down with somebody for a listing presentation, I say, well, what do you think your house is worth? Here's what the comparables in the market are telling us. And ultimately, what is your goal for this house? What would you like to see it sell for? And then I take it as my job to do my best to try and get you that number. And sometimes listing it right at that number is not the best strategy. The way to get to, say, 500,000 is not maybe necessarily to list it above 500,000 or just under 500,000. Maybe it is to drum up some action at 489.9 or something like that. If it's, maybe just a little bit under what you were expecting for the house, all you really need is that first offer in place and then a second offer to give you some competition. And I find too on the buying side that, even working with some buyers this year where we start to know once there's more than 4, 5, 6, 7 offers on a property, it's going to be very competitive and all bets are off. That's kind of what I tell people. Four is manageable. You can use the $5,000 to $10,000 per offer to increase your offer based on that kind of activity. But ultimately, once you start getting into 4, 5, 6 offers, 10 offers, 20 offers, we wrote on one earlier this year that had 24 offers on it. There was another one, that we heard of that had 58 offers on it. Now, again, I'm wondering, like, if you're working with a buyer and your buyer isn't willing to go 50, 60K over of that listed price, or they're not even pre-approved to go that high, I don't even know why you're bothering to write the offer. In a lot of cases, you might save yourself a lot of time and a lot of heartache, just being real with it and managing those expectations early on. And I think that's part of the agent's job too, is to let people know what's happening in the market right now. Still going to look at the houses. Don't be discouraged by what other people are doing. We can't control what the other buyers are doing. If somebody wants to come and overpay on that house by $120,000, they're going to have to live there for 10 to 20 years to let the market catch up to that in some cases, right? Which is sort of what we had thought in 2021 as well. now here we are in 2025, 4 years later, where the market is actually back to those, what we thought was crazy in 2021 levels. So as we're seeing Winnipeg, that steady increase year over year, every year we seem to be just a steady, 2 to 5% appreciation in Winnipeg.
This was an amazing update here from you, Ty.
Absolutely.
This is great. I love doing this. It was just like the live right to it. What happened over the weekend? What are things closing at? I think it gives great insight for listeners and folks that are living here local or looking to move here.
Yes.
And real estate. I think this is an awesome run through on the update.
Yeah, Steve, thanks a lot. And really, people moving from out of province right now are going to start ringing the phones, like a lot of
Yes.
people are starting to flock to Winnipeg coming. I've had people in the last while come from Southern Ontario. I actually have somebody that I'm working with who's planning to move here from Michigan, a doctor who's planning to move here from the United States just because of, some political turmoil that's happening, right? I've got people moving here from BC right now. Another person from Vancouver Island, obviously BC as well. So people are still discovering Winnipeg as a place where you can have your little piece of the pie. And okay, grin and bear it for a couple of months with some snow if you're not used to it being from the West Coast. But overall, the days are bright. We've got lots of sunshine. The weather's cold, but the people are warm, and the summers here are unmatched. 25 degrees and sunny on cruise control for weeks at a time. We love it.
Yes. Oh, you nailed it, Ty. That's the sales pitch of Winnipeg right there in a nutshell. And
that's why Ty sells WPG, my friend.
Love
Selling Winnipeg.
Is that where folks can find you online here, Ty? As a final comment?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Ty Sells WPG on Instagram. You can go to my website as well. We have our client intake forms for both the buying and selling side. Also have some fun mortgage calculators, just some other tools to bring you value so that as you're scrolling the internet, it's not just another real estate page. Always have fun contests on my Instagram and lots of content with this new backdrop. You'll see the backdrop here. Those ferns, these are custom ferns that we only bring out on recording day. We just wheel the ferns in just for you, my friend.
I love it.
Okay.
Between two ferns.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye for now.